Yeah, Kelly just sneaks in. Kelly, he seems like he's doing a pretty good job in front. Mason's, yeah. Yeah, I spoke with him last week. Sorry.
I'll call meeting to order for October 25th, 2020. Budget meeting.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're gonna go grounds and maintenance, seasonal winter labor. Well, come up, Cal.
So you know they have both that you submitted, so.
What are we at here?
So I was asked to submit a form for the grounds and maintenance department after our last budget meeting for a full-time grounds and maintenance labor at your request. So a form was submitted for that. And additionally, I was asked to submit a form with the solid waste center attendant listed in this budget. So that was a second form that has grounds and maintenance, new laborer position plus solid waste center attendant. And it's 9 weeks in this budget. I was told it would be like a November 1st through April
Now,
30th.
which one is the new hire? Oh, new hire. All right, that's the second one down.
So my original request was for a cemetery department laborer, full-time, and then they would come over to grounds and maintenance for the 13 weeks. And that was approved at the last budget meeting. And in the meantime, the selectmen had asked for the grounds and maintenance, a second full-time laborer.
Now now it says cemetery sexton.
That is an existing position, the
Right,
sexton
but
position.
it's at lower pay than the laborer.
Correct.
And
That's what
he's
it,
running the cemetery.
correct. That is an issue because
Yeah.
he comes over here and he still does run the cemetery. If someone calls and they need something, he is getting the lower wage in this position, but he still is doing that work.
So Kelly, I guess I'm a little confused. Right now, you have two positions as laborers in the Parks and Rec, correct?
Yes,
All right, so you're asking for another one.
that was the board's last recommendation at the
But they're
meeting.
not.
I did not propose that.
You do not propose that.
I did not propose that. I was asked to put that.
You're having a hard enough time just filling the second position right now, correct?
Yes, definitely a hard time.
Mhm.
Zero interest.
And it was hard to fill a second person for the cemetery this year, correct?
Yeah, again, zero interest. So what the recommendation was to take that cemetery seasonal position and expand that to be a full-time. And that person would mirror what the sexton does and come over to grounds and maintenance, which would be consistent supervision and
Right. And in the wintertime, the sexton comes to the Parks and Rec and helps out Parks and Rec
Yes.
for the rest of the year, correct?
correct. And that's at the lower wage, which Selectman McDonald had mentioned.
That I feel is unfair because you're
Yeah.
asking us, an individual to take less pay
Right.
from his
Do more
regular
work.
position and bring him into the Parks and Rec. Oh, I don't know if it's more work, but you're asking him to take a
Shoveling
cut in
snow,
pay
no fun.
when you're already telling him the individual is worth this much.
Right. That was.
Come over to shovel snow and plow roads, you're not worth as much. I feel it should keep the same rate of pay. Myself personally. should
I
keep the
agree.
same
Me
rate of
too.
pay.
That was
I
the
agree
way it
with
was
you,
set
Ro.
up.
I will say I don't agree with that third position. I still feel if we go out, we target some retired folks. Instead of just putting in the paper and looking for 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds, try to get some of these winter people to come back, because that's what the cemetery used to do. hire them to mow the lawns and do the trimming, I think we'd still be better off.
But we haven't been able to do that in quite a few years.
Huh?
We haven't been able to do that.
I don't think we've gone out and targeted the retired snowbirds. Because the town has always looked more for 20-year-olds than 30-year-olds.
The town does have different requirements now. So there's a physical capacity exam, there's a physical, and then there's the driver's license requirement.
But if
Which
they're,
is the
but if they're
medical
just
card.
mowing lawns at the cemetery, you have a
Right.
sexton who is a manager that
Right.
can locate them in either way.
Shouldn't need a.
Put them where they need to be.
Right. It is hard labor for a senior citizen.
What are you calling a senior? 50 years
Well, I'm
old,
just
55?
referencing what you're saying.
Well, you have a lot more people that are retiring at 50 and 55 these days that want a summer job.
Right. It is a difficult job.
I think you're gonna,
It's not a difficult job. I did it for many years.
yeah, but what you guys are saying, you guys and us as a board right here, you guys sat right there and said you want to go down in the bay and pull up all the bricks by hand and lay all those down. You're gonna get a 50, 60-year-old man to go down there and do that? Not today, you're not.
Well, it's funny, I still do it and I'm 60.
Me too.
Me too. There's three of us right here.
Well, then how come they haven't been pulled up and replaced yet?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
Because nobody's pushed the
So,
issue.
so there's a norm here. You guys are gonna go down there. You're not gonna get an average person to go down there that's 60, 65 years old and spend his whole day on his hands and knees pulling bricks up down in the
I'm
bay.
talking about mowing the grass right now and weed whacking. I'm not talking about.
Well,
pulling
this
up bricks.
extra position, correct me if I'm wrong,
Maintenance,
was
everything.
maintenance down in the bay.
But I'm not for that extra position in the bay. So I'll tell you right now, I'll
Okay.
be voting against that.
Even with the extra position, even if we had to fill it with part-time right now, would be worth it. Part-time, full-time, take whatever help we can get.
You don't think it has anything to do with paying people $16 an hour when you can make that at Dunkin' Donuts?
You can't make that at Dunkin' Donuts. That's a gimmick.
That's more like $14.50 to $15.
Yeah, but you're inside and you can make a bad coffee and it doesn't even matter.
Some of the feedback that I've had is that it's expensive to live in Alton. The rent is high, home prices are high, and the wages that are being paid for these jobs, they're not, people can't afford to live here. That's the feedback I've heard. So we're looking at someone that's commuting.
Mhm.
So they're going to be commuting for the $14, $15 an hour. And also feedback I've had is the population wants money in their pocket. They're not really thinking long-term. They're not thinking about retirement. They're thinking about putting
Now.
food on the table and paying their bills.
Like
Not
I
looking to
said,
the future.
we need people to mow the lawn and weed whack and stuff down there. Should be right in that high school. And at the end of the year, give them $1,000 for college. Bonus if they make it through the
That would be an incentive.
you know, and get the senior class that's coming out of there to work the summer. I mean, they leave the middle of August, end of August, but by then you're not mowing like you are in June, July.
We have
That-
reached. oh,
That works
excuse me.
out good, but can you hire somebody that's not 18 years old to run equipment?
Not by law.
It's, yeah, I don't know if you can or not.
If you can get up the 18-year-olds that are just graduating
Right. I
before they go to, if they go to college or whatever.
I did reach out to our local high school in Alton and also surrounding communities and let them know about our job openings, and then I'd be happy to meet with them, and also possible job openings in the summer and our seasonal
Yes.
work. So I did reach out. But the jobs that you're talking about here are the full-time year-round.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't have a problem with, the only problem I have is with the Saxton's pay. I think that he ought to stay at the same pay instead of
Okay.
taking a cut in pay to work the winter.
Right. He has mentioned that he was approached by the Solid Waste Center for their opening. And
Sure.
he does have his license for the Solid Waste Center attendant or facility operator. So he does have qualifications. He was approached to take that position with an increase in pay perhaps. And the issue that I did speak with that staff person was, they do get paid, like you're saying, less to come here from the sexton position. So that is definitely an issue.
the idea of seniors, I mean, between 50 and 60, if we can get some of those that are retired. But then again, when I think about the people that are that age that are retiring, they're usually from jobs that are like UPS or things like that, that have been driving and stuff, and not the physical labor that it would take to, like doing, weed whacking and mowing and stuff. I don't know. It's a thought.
Generally,
They're not used to that type of
when you
work.
retire, it's not to go work harder than it did when you were at work.
I know that for some candidates that we've had in the past, the background check is problematic. They have a fingerprint check. So that's an effort. They have to go drive, now we can do it at the Alton Police Station, but there's an effort there filling out that paperwork and getting a driver's license. And so you have to have the initiative and the effort to do that.
But like
See, I
Ruben
feel-
said, like Ruben said, why does he have to have a driver's license if he's mowing lawns in the cemetery when the sexton can drop him off at the cemetery? They can mow while he does what he has to do.
It's the minimum requirement is a driver's license and 18 years old.
Mr. Chairman, that's the other thing I feel is ridiculous for this town is fingerprinting. Department heads that are going to be controlling money, moving monies. Maybe I can see the fingerprinting. I can't see it for laborers. I don't know
It's
many
overkill.
businesses except for like Roadway UPS that does do the fingerprinting. They do a lie detector test and all of that.
That's what they handle.
But for laborers or even the truck drivers here in town, I can't see fingerprinting because you're going to get the driving record anyways. They're going to do DOT physicals. That to me is a waste of our time. And I think that's just a little bit above and beyond hiring a laborer. But that's my opinion.
And just to add to what Selectman Wentworth said is it's every year. So if someone comes back, we have to repeat that, even though it isn't even 12 months. It might be 8 or 9 months. And we're
Yeah,
doing the
that's-
background check and
That's
I mean, I can see them.
crazy.
Well, that's a personnel policy part of it, and that's something for us to look at. But
Yeah.
I could see it if they're working with children.
Right.
Parks and Rec and doing
School,
programs
little
because that's
different.
required by law, I think, anyways, such as school. I don't know if it is required for Parks and Rec programs, but mowing the lawns, cleaning the bathrooms, no.
so that is a deterrent for some people, just to let you know. We did have someone say, I'm not doing that.
That needs to be changed.
But I do appreciate your hard work on this, Kelly.
Oh,
bringing
thank you.
everything up.
I think sexton should be moved up to the 1850. You're making less than the laborers.
Especially if there's being required of them to go back to the cemetery and do certain things throughout the winter, such as going to the vault or looking up records and things
Right.
like
He's
that.
doing records, he's doing.
The pay should stay the same. If you say the individual's worth this much in one position, you're just asking to come seasonally to this position to help out. Then we should be paying the same amount of money as we would as the regular position.
Thank you for saying that. He does have skills that are above and beyond a laborer's position.
Yeah,
So
by far.
he should be making that same amount, but the 1841 it is.
All right, move him up to 1850 because he's
Move him up to
he's
18.
above a
Yeah.
laborer. He does a lot of maintenance and this and that, I mean, he's a clever guy.
Mhm.
I'll second the motion. Motion on the board.
I didn't make a motion, sir.
No, Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll change, the motion was to put the sexton up to 1850. I had said 18.
Okay, I'll second that.
1850.
I just feel as though he should be above a laborer.
He's still required to do the same position year round in case something comes up, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And he does sexton work all the time. It doesn't stop.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Would this be effective now or is this effective next
This would be for
town
next
meeting?
year's budget.
Next year's
At
budget?
least that's the way I understand it.
I would think so.
I'd like to see it go right up now.
Next year's
Yeah, I don't
budget.
think, no sense in waiting.
Then you'd have to ask Laura
Can we-
and Kelly to look
can
in their
we-
budget to make sure there's gonna be
Yeah,
money in
yeah.
that budget.
If we can,
I mean, he should be making more than what a laborer is making.
There are funds in there because we didn't hire a cemetery laborer
Yeah.
this summer, and also we don't have our full-time
so
grounds and
legally,
maintenance, so there's money in the budget.
we could do it now then.
Make a motion to have it now.
I'll second that.
I mean,
There was also that stipend that the secretary was getting, and at the last meeting, that was,
And
Yeah,
he's
he-
doing that too,
he's doing
correct?
all the paperwork. and
he's
stuff.
doing that as
So,
well.
yeah,
Yeah, let's make it now.
Yeah.
I agree.
Could the stipend be
Second.
now as
yeah, I
well?
second it.
The stipend could be now too,
Yeah, he
the
gets,
rem-
the sti- we voted the stipend in for him anyway.
right? That was for next year's budget. Could
But
that,
if he's doing all the paperwork this year too,
yes,
Right.
he should be getting the stipend this year. We shouldn't be paying a secretary when he's doing the paperwork.
okay,
But isn't that part of his job to do the paperwork as a
No,
sexton?
we have a secretary down there. that did the
Yeah.
paperwork.
Well, wait a minute. The secretary down there to do Parks and Rec.
No. does
This
the
was
cemetery.
As far as this, as far as I'm concerned, the sexton should be doing their own paperwork.
this was the finance office's secretary that was not doing.
I
the-
still don't, I believe right now that's part of the sexton job myself, so I'll vote against this.
It was approved at the last meeting for next.
What
year.
else does the sex,
When we put the sexton in, they put a secretary down with Kelly. She was gonna take over the paperwork to it.
That's a different
File it.
secretary.
That's what,
That's a different, so the secretary that we're talking about that gets the stipend, that was the finance officer's
Right.
assistant, who was getting an hourly wage plus the stipend on top, and that was when the cemetery was first reorganized,
Right.
but that work wasn't
But if he's
Being
doing it, he
completed.
should be getting paid for it.
right.
All right.
there's a motion and a second on that, on the table
Stipend.
to making it now or not.
Make it now, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Now we're on to the laborer.
Are you gonna bring up the stipend?
Huh?
Still gotta bring up the stipend. We just voted on bringing the rate up
Yes.
Now to
Yes.
18.
on the sexton, but not, had nothing to do with the stipend.
Right.
All right. Stipend. I make a motion that we give it to him this year. Second.
So the grounds and maintenance, I'm sorry, the cemetery budget sexton's position in the cemetery budget is not 1850. So he'd be getting more when he came over.
Oh, that's what we're saying is move him up to it.
Oh, okay, but for
He's
grounds
above
and
the
maintenance?
laborer. He's over there and over here.
Okay, so for both,
I mean, he's
okay.
running a cemetery. He shouldn't be getting less than what a laborer is getting.
okay,
Well, Mr. Chairman, point of order, you're only talking grounds and maintenance right now. You were not talking cemetery. So if you need to, I believe you need to make another motion. Increase the cemetery up to 1850.
Wait a minute, we're talking the sexton.
The sexton only coming over to buildings and grounds maintenance
All right, I
part,
make-
because that's what we're discussing is building and grounds maintenance. We
Make a
weren't
motion to
discussing
make the
cemetery.
Sexton at 1850, cemetery or park grounds and maintenance.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 The proposed new position is $153,000.
or
Says add proposed new position total.
for the grounds and maintenance and the cemetery laborers together.
What are they? getting paid?
So it's broken down on these, on the budget sheet. So the laborer was 15.71 an hour, and the grounds and maintenance laborer is 17.04 an hour.
60,000.
So it was an additional cost of $9,112 for the cemetery and $27,096 for the grounds and maintenance for that new laborer position.
And actually you gotta raise it up now because you just raised the section coming over to the 18.50 an hour. The number's gone up again another $2.27. And you gotta change the merit. Lines, all our lines do add up to 153,696. I think Mr. Chairman at this point needs to come back next week with a new bottom line. Increase it, not trying to decipher it tonight, make any more mistake, or make any mistakes that might be added to the budget. I think your second outlining I have here shows 160,778, correct?
Yes. Yep.
That's for the labor of solid waste. The first one showed 153. The second one shows the ones 6778.
Why is solid waste coming under you?
I was asked to present it that way, and it was my understanding at our last budget meeting that the cemetery, I'm sorry, that the solid waste center person, according to some of the selectmen, was only going to come over to help. Not, and I was
That shouldn't be
confused.
in your budget.
I was confused about that, and I had asked, and I was asked to please do it this way.
No, that should be in Scotty's budget.
That should be. I think there was some confusion on that.
Yeah.
I wasn't here for that discussion, so I can't help you out.
Chairman,
Yes.
so the town administrator, I had a discussion with her on this position, and we were under the impression that the solid waste department would have that person seasonal, and the other portion of that, like the cemetery seasonal, would come over to grounds and maintenance.
What we discussed is the guy with Scotty had enough work up there. Gonna run call it there, the swap shop. And then wherever he needed him up there.
I don't think Scotty budgeted for the full year for that position. We can go back and revisit that, but I
No, I
was under
didn't.
the impression he was gonna come to grounds and maintenance for the other
Selectmen
portion.
only allowed so many weeks for that position.
That should be a Scotty's budget.
Not if he leaves, if he's only there seasonally,
Right.
he comes down to Parks and Rec. That should go in the Parks and Rec's budget at that point, just like the sexton does when he goes to the Parks and Rec department.
That's how we understood it. That's why we asked her to prepare for that.
That's where, well, maybe I'm a little confused on that. Why would you bring somebody over seasonally? I can understand the seasonal, but you're asking that labor to do the same thing as a labor up above it. At $17 an hour, but I only want to pay this one $13 an hour. That's where I would sit there and say, a labor is a labor. Pay me the same amount of money or I'm not coming to work for you. If you're going to say that's where we'll start you at the low side of a pay scale, and this is where you'll be in 5 years, that'd be one thing. But we're not starting, the labor starts at 1704. further up.
Right, we're looking for a certain skill set.
That's why.
But if you're gonna,
It's getting
It's a
confusing.
skill set, because
I guess if,
like cemetery, you're mowing lawns.
Right.
And weed whacking. Grounds and maintenance, you're mowing lawns, you're planting flowers, you're fixing walkways and stuff, but I mean, we don't need a MIT graduate.
well, we do need a carpentry, someone that does have carpentry skills. And someone that maybe works at the swap shop.
Hiring them as a laborer. Then you either gotta teach them the skills or put it in the ad what you want, and you're not gonna be paying that.
That's the wage that I was told to use, and that is not the wage I would have used.
That's the problem we haven't probably trying to get laborers, because the town's being picky. I mean, to me, if you're hiring a laborer, then he's there to be a laborer, not to go frame a house.
He's not a leader and
but
he's
the
not a
other
leader
thing is
position.
this, with this seasonal position coming out of the solid waste center, as Brendan said, Board of Selectmen, that might not be all that that individual is doing is a swap shop. If he's needed in down at the lower part of the solid waste center, they'd be put in there. If they're needed at the scales or wherever, they would be
Right.
placed around. So it's not just a swap shop attendant. That's just a position that they're being hired for,
Right.
but not to, and could include other duties. I'm just saying, this is one problem I see within the town. The laborers' positions are not consistent across the board
No.
for pay, starting pay. And I think that's where we have one of our problems.
Across the board, laborers should be labor pay, that's it.
Starting at,
In every
That
department.
right
It shouldn't be, it shouldn't be 13 in one and 17 in another.
What's on the minimum maximum scale for labor?
So you have your seasonal labor, which is the 1362. But then you have your maintenance labor, which is 1546. So you do have two different, but if it's seasonal in all the departments, it's gonna be the same 1362.
there's one thing about it, seasonal labor
15, what
will
was
always
the other one,
cost you less
1560?
than a full-time employee.
That'll be 1546.
Then why are we labor is 1571, labor 1362, labor 1841?
Because those people have been here a while and have gotten merit and stuff over the
These
years.
are new, this is a new higher position is 1571, 1704,
Is that for, no, these are next year.
1362.
New position.
The 1362 was given to me from the solid waste center.
Right, which is your seasonal labor.
1704.
That is what the grounds and maintenance laborer position is the starting
Is
pay.
that the minimum maximum scale?
It is not the minimum.
Then why do we even have a minimum maximum scale if we're not using it?
We're using it, but we're not paying the minimum because I feel that we need to pay the 17 to get the person that we want. With the skills that we're looking for, different things, it's more than custodial or mowing.
But you don't want, you're not looking for a laborer, then you're looking for a craftsman or
Well, we need someone to wax the floors and to be able to understand directions, to be able to communicate and write things down and
that's a laborer.
read.
That's a laborer, but you're saying carpentry and this and that.
There's carpentry involved in the position.
There is, but usually a laborer follows a supervisor or a foreman. Someone that knows the carpentry, and knows what needs to be done is what is being asked. A laborer usually would not be a lead person. A
Well, we're-
laborer would be the one that would work behind the one that's the foreman and work out his duties with him, not to send him on a job and expect him to do the whole job without supervision.
Right, and that labor is that sexton person. Well, I'm sorry, the labor is the cemetery full-time person coming over. And the other person is the full-time ground and maintenance laborer whose job is to work independently and to go onto jobs and fix the air conditioning or to fix a door on a snack shack that's broken and to work independently. And that's the key.
And that pay on that one is
The 1704.
1704. 1704.
Yes.
I disagree. I think we should be following that minimum maximum scale or fixing it. You can't just set a price to hire one at this, like Ruben said, you can't, we're all over the board here.
We're looking at an
That
entry
scale,
level.
or-
We're looking at an entry level, and then we're looking at more than an entry level, someone that can be a supervisor. If we have 6 employees,
Mhm.
we do need to pair up a leader with a follower.
Well, I can understand that, Kelly, wholeheartedly.
We all understand that.
But you have one that can lead or one that can be in charge in case you're absent. But the rest should all within the same unless they have more years. I believe your custodian should be up where your labor is, because your custodian does painting, washes floor, waxes floors. I think, dude, maybe not fix doors, but still picks up trash like the laborers pick up trash. To me, looking at it, to me, it's all over the place. And I'm not saying that's your fault, it's the town's fault. Or maybe the town needs to relook at that, revisit it, and bring everybody into the same amount, because I think your custodian has been here quite a few years.
Right.
And
She works hard too.
gets up on a step ladder without any fear of height, is painting, scrubbing the walls before it needs to be painting, patching.
Yep, definitely.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they definitely very skilled.
And goes, I think, sometimes above and beyond, because full report damages, mischief.
On these walls.
Well, even down to community centers painted down there
Yes.
outside, and that's a kind of a lot of a custodian's job to be doing outside maintenance. Normally custodians inside.
Yep.
So
The town's very
I
fortunate.
think maybe the board needs to look at that department maybe a little bit better and readjust those pays. A little bit more equal
Okay.
for the business.
Because they are all over the place.
Is the laborer the one that's running the plow and running the sidewalk machine and doing all that stuff too?
Yes.
The laborers do
Is that-
equally.
Is that above a laborer at this point? From what we're talking, that's not a shovel operator. That's
No, it's not.
somebody running a $80,000 piece of our equipment down there, and
Equipment.
maybe we need to look at the differentiate between a laborer and a truck and a operator or something like that. Maybe we need to move some.
You also have people that have been here 9 years versus 5 years versus 1 year. So there's some difference with the wages there as well.
And that makes sense.
I guess I'm just looking at starting, because you got
Okay.
new hire for the run position.
Yes,
Then you're looking at new position, which those two coincide with one another.
Right.
Then I'm looking at your custodian's position is 16, which is a little less than $1 below that, which should be up to where starting labor is, because that individual in that position does laboring work,
right.
not just custodian work. So
I-
that's for the board to decide, not so much you. You may be recommended, but it's up to the board to say, yeah, we have a little problem discrepancy there. And if you want to talk about gender salary gap, there's a salary gap between genders right there.
No, I appreciate you saying that, because today the custodian reported just like a mess in the bathroom. And for a person to have to clean that up on a daily basis, I think they need to be paid more money. I'm glad she comes back. I personally
She works
am
very hard.
very appreciative of her hard work.
Yeah, she works
And
very hard.
I'm very happy that you had noticed that. Thank you.
Is this what the custodian makes right now? The 1632?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
All right.
That's why we kind
Mr.
of.
Chairman,
Yes.
make a recommendation. Kelly and the finance officer get together this week if they can, and go back over these positions. Look at the custodians pay instead of us trying to do it tonight, trying to figure it out. Because it's going to affect other lines besides just these. It's going to affect your FICA, your Medicare and everything. And come back with another recommendation next week. Because we're not going to solve this tonight, I don't think.
And that would be effective for next year or for now?
This would be effective for next year. Because we are working on next year's budget.
Okay.
Perhaps this will help on new hires. With a little difference in
Yes.
the amounts.
Maybe,
Starting pay.
maybe tonight the board could come up and let them know whether or not the majority of the board favors the extra position though. think that's where it came from the board. I wasn't here at that meeting, but it sounds like the board favored that extra position, so at least they can
Yes.
know how to figure that in.
That would be very helpful. I second that. What you,
All those in favor?
I think I think the extra position would be all right, but I think we gotta get what we got going here in some sort of an order, so we know what's going on
I
before
think
we
that's what
decide
they're
to.
gonna work on.
Yeah.
They'll work on that, come back next week, the two of them.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
So just to clarify, that would be removing the solid waste center attendant.
that's all
And-
the way to the custodian's pay. I think
Okay.
that's below. I think that'd be a good case for someone to come against the town saying, I'm doing the same job as most of these guys,
Right.
but I'm getting a dollar less an hour for starting people. For everything that I've seen that individual do for that position, I think it's a
Okay.
very unfair pay. But, and just so, because we can make that decision tonight, but we don't want to know, not gonna know what the dollar amount is.
Okay,
How it's gonna affect other lines besides your
It's gonna
retirement, your
change the
FICA
lines.
and everything else.
okay, so we're looking at the custodian's wage and then the,
Custodian wage should at least be up where your starting laborer's position is, but the individual there has more years than just a new hire.
okay.
Right.
How long has the custodian been here with us?
I'm not positive on that. Do you know, Laura?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
Time.
Yeah, I would say at least 3.
5, 6 years.
Okay,
And we gotta look into a couple
It'd
of
be
things.
interesting to see what she started at 6 years ago.
okay.
Dollars an hour.
Right.
I know it was a part-time position and it was moved to
Right.
full-time, fairly recently within the last 2 years.
I believe the individual in this position took over the last custodian's position, which was George Woodman, was it?
We had a few people in between. We had like the third shift person, then we had a second shift person. But it was hard to retain employees in that job.
That's why we moved her into full time.
So we would like a new sheet for the custodian's wage and for,
Well, to even out, I would look to all laborers and
Okay.
stuff and try to get something worked out that kind of evens things out, so we're hiring on an even scale.
okay, the sexton,
The sexton,
moving that to 1850.
That's all done.
that we did that one.
Then the new hire wage, and then also, do you want to put in the new grounds maintenance labor, or would you prefer to leave that off for this year?
I'll vote against it if it's in there, Kelly, just to let
Okay.
you know.
I think we need it.
But I think the majority of the board 2 weeks ago, that's the way they were leaning towards. So
I think we need
feel
it.
you should leave it in
We're
there.
gonna get painted done on
It-
these
it was.
buildings and
It was
some
how we were
upkeep done on
leaning.
these buildings
Okay.
without outsourcing everything. I think we need it.
I'll also do a new form for the cemetery with the wage, with the 1850 for the sexton.
Yes.
Okay,
More discussion.
You guys think that the 1704 is an unreasonable number to start the laborer at? And just make it across the laborers or?
Well, that's what she's gonna do is line it up and
uh,
get everything in order so we have a scale.
To make it a little bit
She
more
hasn't been
equal,
able to
make
hire
it
at
make
the lower
sense.
scale. That's on the maximum minimum is what you're saying.
correct.
So
This is what the employee that left was getting paid, so I was looking for that same skill level or more.
what does she wanna wait until she gets back at the.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Cal.
Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
What about the solid waste one? Are we not doing that? I just want to make sure before I. So the solid waste attendant is just seasonal.
I don't know, when we talked to Scott, he asked him if he had enough to keep him busy all year, and he said, yeah, moving him around. I thought he was staying right at solid waste.
Okay,
That would
I'll
be
check
under
with
his budget.
Scotty.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think we
We didn't specify
I
it.
think we specified that, and I think looking back, I'm pretty sure Scott said what Kelly was saying. I think it was only gonna be half year and half. I'm
When
pretty- I'm
needed.
pretty sure it was gonna be when needed, and after the swap shop closed, he moved down.
Budget. My opinion. I don't know, they get trained up at that. Get the license and stuff there. He kind of keeps them right there. Got one that's leaving, don't he?
Yes. End of the month.
You can hire somebody.
He's gonna end up needing somebody anyway, because he got somebody leaving, but.
Yeah.
But as far as what we've talked about, I don't think we made it that way. I think we made it as,
Well, it was through both. of them. It was through both.
it was.
All right. Moving on, employees handbook. Laura, you said that these have gone back to the department heads and they've had a meeting on it. and everything.
So that was before your last meeting. So these changes are just
Have
what
they
the
seen-
board
Well,
suggested and approved at
has
the
the
last.
department head seen them? I think they ought to look at them before we can get them.
They've seen them before the only change really was made was that you grandfathered
Right.
and you closed on the holidays. I mean, they saw all of
Right.
those.
Then they've seen that.
Otherwise, it's exactly what you approved, just with your changes that you suggested.
This is basically where we should discuss fingerprinting.
I would like to see the town administrator, finance officer come back to a recommendation of what position should be fingerprinted and which one could not have to be.
Changes the board would like to see.
I think everything else we've covered.
But his grandfather in. Make a motion, we approve the employee handbook. All except for fingerprint and stuff that we allow Laura to go through and Liz to figure out who should have it. Who don't. I think Ruben's right with that, is if you're a laborer or something, not handling money and stuff, and it's a waste of money. We get their records.
Makes it a little more difficult to get somebody to fill the position if they have to go through that every year.
And you request a driving record.
Right.
A lot of things will end up on the driving record that you don't normally see. And that way there, if the individual does end up driving, such as cemetery or parks and rec, they just still have to come underneath that confinement if they're running something over 10 gross vehicle weight of 10,000. Only thing, Mr. Chairman, if I ask a question on the health insurance, reading through it, nothing really has changed on that, correct, Laura?
Correct. Nothing that's written in here because we haven't made
We
any.
haven't changed anything.
So if we approve the handbook, we're only approving the changes that we talked about a month ago?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago?
You're anything that I've rewritten or adjusted from the original.
Because there's a lot of red lines to a lot of things in here. That's why I'm helping.
Those are the ones that we just made changes on, right? That you
Mhm.
suggested or,
Because I still think, you know, health reimbursement, towns participate in the house reimbursement account for all full-time employees. Town agrees to pay 75% of the employee's health insurance deductible. The employee will be responsible for 25%. This is paid out in phases. The town will pay the first 8% deductible. I just feel that's wrong.
But
Okay, so when
once
you
we
go-
do the insurance,
we can
if
change.
we change it.
I
whatever,
understand that. It's just that I feel the
gonna be
employee
changed
should pay
more.
their deductible, their fair share of deductible first, then the town comes in, because doing 8%, then going back to the employee, then going back and forth, it's a lot of bookkeeping in between. That's all.
Yes,
So you can approve this as it is because this will take you till December 31st with your benefits anyways, how you do it. That's why the chapters are on separate
Okay.
sections, so we can go back, revamp that, and you can approve that department section for whatever changes that you make.
motion on the table. The handbook, well, the insurance will change if we change it anyways, but the
Your background check part,
background fingerprint.
it's actually written quite well. It says you can do all. It doesn't mean you have to if you read through it. So you should probably leave it that way in case you do make a decision on a, but you can make
Yeah,
it
but
internal.
what we're after, yeah. That's what we're after is. Have it, who shouldn't, whether we have to have laborers do it or. Not money or.
Right, but I'm saying how it's written, it covers everybody in case you
Case.
do the people that move from department to department, you can turn around and say, I need a background check
Don't say
now.
we work together.
Does your motion stand the same?
Yes. Says it's amended.
Oh, second.
If we change the insurance, that whole chapter gets changed anyways.
I thought we approved our changes already for the personnel policy from before. That's why I'm a little confused where
I thought we
asking
did
to,
too when we did the changes.
Hmm?
When we, wait, month ago when we did the changes.
right,
I
we
thought
approved
we
them, we made a vote then to approve them. So as far as I was concerned, we amended the handbook at that time. Didn't know why we'd have to do it again, that's why.
Everything's 2-3 times. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Maximum charge.
Went over.
We sure should have. I didn't even see it on there.
So what you have in front of you is you have your big spreadsheet. What we did is we reached out to a lot of towns. These are the ones that responded on 2 different pages because they overload. We also went on to the New Hampshire Municipal and looked at their wage scales. I know it's very tiny, so I had Shannon break it out on these individual sheets by position. And she averaged them.
This one here.
Correct. So if you look at like a certain position that you were looking at, say sexton, you'd go through the pile and. So what our minimum would be the 1488, which I think she gave us the 2022. Material, yeah, that's the 2022. So that's for next year. That's our minimum. And our maximum is the 1943. The towns, there's only two that actually have sextons that responded. So we took those two, averaged them out, and that would be the 1848 would be the average. And currently our sexton is making 1713 an hour. Well, now you just increased it to 18.
Was 1488 and the maximum on this is 1943.
Those are the town of Alton's min and max, yes. So yeah, we're very low in that. You were talking about labor, it's the seasonal labor.
I don't think we're real low on it.
No, but I mean, it's lower, our minimum's lower, but what he's making
You're
is
also
not
talking bigger towns too. You've
correct.
got to respond to the bigger towns.
So the seasonal labor, we pay, our minimum is 1362. And the average is 1265 from the towns that, I mean, Guilford's paying 950 to start,
Guilford's paying what?
950,
950
according to their study.
right here
Yeah,
on that same one.
Wonder if they even got a position full.
Oh, they are. Wow.
I can definitely tell you that some of these are wrong.
really?
Mhm.
This is what they reported.
Wow, I can't believe 950.
All right.
I mean, we've been working on this for like 30 days or more, so if it's changed within that, we don't. But I mean, because it takes time to actually get them to respond.
Right.
So the grounds and maintenance, just another one that we've discussed. Our minimum is the 1546 for 2022. And the average is 1604. And we had Franklin, Guilford, Hampstead, Litchfield, and Meredith and Wolfboro respond to that.
Bring it to Wakefield being wrong.
Mhm.
But that did just change. I just thought.
I believe Wolfboro's custodian's about the same. So on this scale, some of the towns did not respond to a minimum, just a maximum.
Correct.
It's the board's wishes.
Well, where Alton's listed now, that's what our minimum maximum chart is at now,
Mhm.
correct?
The numbers listed on here is your new 2022 min max. Where you approved,
According what the town has done in the past.
yeah, what you just approved, yeah.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
What you just approved for the 2022 min max, yeah, with your COLA.
I'm fine.
Those
with
are your
where we're at.
new,
Well, we haven't approved it yet.
you did, you approved COLA for your min max chart a while
Well,
ago.
with COLA, yeah.
Overall, I think the town is in a very good position. And I can't say anybody can really say we're underpaying employees at this point, looking at that chart. I know, I just saw it tonight, but I think overall we're being more than fair
Very fair.
compared to other towns.
I think so. A lot
And
of,
especially with the benefit package they get beyond that. And I would dare say it's maybe time to start looking at other employees in other towns if we're missing some and saying the package and probably a little bit better pay.
Might have to.
So you need to think of that when we do these new positions. If you're hiring somebody at what somebody here is already making, that's kind of, you know what I mean? Somebody's been here 5 years, it's making your 1704, and you bring in your new guy at 1704. That's kind of,
Well,
You're gonna have to adjust it due to years of service.
My point was that we shouldn't have a guy that's
Seniority.
head of a department making less than the laborer. That's just not fair to
right.
do.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept this new max chart. I think it doesn't, looks like we're being, like you said, more than fair here.
I'll second it. More discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on. Two ayes. That was everybody. I didn't hear the other two. Investment policies. Did this go through the trustees, trust funds?
The board has to sign one of these every year for the audit. It's no different than it was last year. Not a word has changed. It just needs to be reinitialed because you get new board members.
Never seen it before in my
Signed
life.
one last year.
I did.
Because I made sure it happened.
Yes, we did, sir.
And I have the original here for you guys. I'll put the signature if you approve. So you can sign it later.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the town of Alton investment policy.
House.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Budget presentation benefits.
Have a candy bar. You're gonna need it. All right, so in front of you. You have a couple of different packets. Of course, I don't know where mine are.
What are we starting with now?
Okay, so you have a health trust packet and you have the Davis and Tool packet. Those are what we're gonna be looking at.
This was the Davison pool. And this one is the health trust.
Okay. My stuff is here somewhere. So I just got the Davison tool today at like 4 o'clock, so it's kind of a lot to look at. So, okay, go through this slowly. So Davison Toll has come through with a proposal with a few different options for the medical. Let's just look at the medical because that's the biggest one. So if you look at these that you have in your packet, and the one that had this at the beginning. So this is your Davison Toll packet, had that. So on the first page, it's the HMO, the LP 2553,000. This is the one that matches our current plan the most that we have with Health Trust. So it's the 3,000, 6,000, 9,000 deductible. It's a little less. It's like $46 for a family plan a month less.
I'm sorry, you're on the first page, correct?
Yep. This is a breakdown of what we're gonna go over, just so you can see the comparison.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I should be on the next
But it
page.
looks like this. These are their individual
Looking for that page,
plans.
I'm sorry. Keep going. I did not see it, so I'm still looking for it. Okay,
So that one, yep, mirrors what kind of plan Health Trust has as we have right now.
the 744.
I'm on the colored line that you first showed.
Yeah, it's towards the back.
That's this one. That's
Yep.
what I was asking.
got that.
This page
All right, now we can go.
starts off with the 744 for a
Yep.
single,
Yep,
two-person, 1,488,
yep,
family, 2,010,
correct.
$2,010.07.
So that's what kind of matches what we have.
That's the one that's close to us.
So the next page, at the top, it says HMO LP 2550 1500.
Yeah.
So this one is a lower deductible. So it'd be 1,500 for a single, 3,000 for a two-person, and 4,500 for a family. But as you can tell, the single, it's a little bit higher.
Up 25%.
Right, but that's if you choose to do that. That's different. You don't want to go there.
We don't go there on that.
Not
Okay,
yet.
all right. That's the funding.
Yeah, the one below that is the kind of the same. In the 50% deductible is the employee would be responsible for the first half, which is what Mr. Wentworth was speaking of. The employee pays their portion first. But it would have the same deductibles, the 15, the 3, and the 4,500.
The employee would be responsible for their half before anything else kicks in?
Before
Before
the
the
town
town
pays any of their deductible.
What,
Yep.
how does it work? How's it set up now?
Town pays the first 8%.
Isn't it the same thing?
No,
Isn't it?
No.
town, what happens is employee, when they come in with something, they give it to Laura, the town taxpayers pay up so much, then all of a sudden it has to go back to the employees paying so much. Then the employee comes back in, the town starts paying again. So you have this going back and forth all the time. Where I feel the employee has the deductible, they should be paying their share of the deductible first. Once they've met their share, then the town takes over. And then from then on, the town keeps track of it until they've met the town and employees met the deductible in full. Then we know what the insurance company should be paying. But right now it's come in with 8%, up to 8%, then the employee pays their part up to so percent. Then they come back and see Laura and gives her a bill and say, well, I haven't met my deductible yet. The town hasn't. So it's back and forth. It's a lot more bookkeeping than what should have to be done.
Then if you go to the next page. So we also asked them to provide us quotes for the plan with an HSA.
That's the health savings.
Yeah. So the top box, which starts at the 692.36 for the single. This is a deductible of 2,000. And then it's 4,000 for a 2-person and 4,000 for a family. The top box is a dollar-to-dollar match. So if the employee chooses the HSA plan, then you would pay up to either 1,000 or 2,000 for the employee, depending on which plan, into an HSA account. So if the employee puts $1, you put $1. If they put $5, you put $5, but you'll cap out when you get to the half of their deductible. And then the bottom one is 50% of the deductible, but it wouldn't be until they paid their 50%. So if they never pay their 50%, the town wouldn't either.
So that's a little different than what I thought it was gonna be.
These are confused. Well, according to Davis and Toll, if you pay, like if the town chooses to pay 75% of the deductible, your rates are higher. You get lower rates if you give a lower deductible reimbursement because it makes the employee more responsible for their medical
And I
care.
agree with that. But I guess what I'm saying is the HSA, like you were just saying, say if you went 2,000, 2,000. My feeling was the HSA at the beginning of the new year or at the budget season. The town decided to go that way. The town would automatically deposit $2,000 in that HSA account at that point. That's all the town would give. It's up to the employee to get that other 2,000 in their account. They could take all year to save for that 2,000. The 2,000 town would be there if they didn't use anything. So the next year they get another 2,000. Now they got their 4,000 in there. The taxpayers that paid it, but yet they managed their own health care over the last year to get to that point.
So that would be kind of like the dollar-to-dollar match?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would spend, instead of just giving them upfront, you'd spread it out over a pay
I wouldn't, no, I'd
periods.
give it right up front.
Oh, okay. So
First of the year, we deposit $2,000 in your account. Now you want to put 2,000 into it, that's fine. If you don't want to put in 2,000, you want to put in 0, we've still given you our fair share of the deductible.
makes
It's up to you to save the other $2,000, which wouldn't be too hard to do out of 365 days out of the year or 52 pay periods. If you chose to put 1,000 in that year, you'd have $3,000 at your availability to buy medical, over-the-counter stuff. And next year, you'd get the same 2,000. So now you've got, if you didn't use anything on your deductible first year, now you got 4,000 sitting in. You got your next year's deductible already matched and you didn't put a cent in.
Does it work like that? Does it roll over like that?
It's a savings account. You can have it for years.
Yeah, and it's tax-free.
Each time can roll over.
If you don't spend it, you don't.
If you don't
lose it.
spend it at the end, let's say.
You don't lose it.
At the end of 10 years, they just write you a check for whatever's in there.
No, it's your own personal account. The town has nothing to do with it.
You're taking care of it.
Money into it.
But you have to spend it on medical.
You have to
There's-
spend on
There's
medical.
guidelines to it, but it'll still be your money to spend. Yep.
It's a health savings account, which is tax deductible, which it's tax-free.
Right.
You have to use it for medical, but it's in your own account. We don't manage it. The town doesn't manage it. You manage that money.
So Davis and Toll will come by and present this to you if you wish. They're suggesting to have 2 different plans that the employee can choose from. So like one of the regular ones, and then if they don't want an HSA, and then the HSA one, but you'd pick just like 2 plans, one with it, one without, whichever way the board chooses.
I see.
to go.
Mr. Chairman, do we have time to, and you guys can tell me if you don't, so we can table this so I can actually read,
Oh, yeah.
but I don't.
Yeah, no,
I
no,
just want to know
no.
what.
Yeah, we only had 2 companies that wanted to send in proposals.
School care I reached out to, they said they could not beat what we already have, so they did not give me a quote.
But no other companies were out there wanting to propose.
No.
No, I'm hoping that we're gonna table 2, so we're gonna.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Do you guys want to have them come in and go over this?
I would love it.
Yeah,
I think that would be good.
somebody that can make a little
I
more
think,
sense.
I mean, you're doing a good job, but I mean, they might
Right.
No,
elaborate on it a
absolutely.
little bit more.
And just so you know, in your packet, they actually, you'll have the dental rates in there as well, and there's a vision added, you'll see that. The life insurance is currently it's 30,000 with Health Trust. They're doing 1 times the annual salary. So you're gonna notice this will cost a little more because you're getting more. But I just wanted to explain that to you. Short-term disability, the same thing. Currently, we do $300 a week. They're gonna do 60% of the pre-disability earning. So that's a difference. They're actually adding long-term disability, which you don't have right now. And you'll see those rates in there. In your life, yeah, it's 1 times your salary. instead of-
We have just shut term. This bill is shut term.
You have short term right now, yep. They're quoting you both. And like I said, they're adding a little vision in there, so their rates are a little more.
Yeah, they're gonna
but you're
offer
getting-
long term for what? $200-300 a week?
I'm not really sure about that part. I didn't read into that, because I literally just got this.
I'm sure, because that's what they usually do. They will offer you long term, but we'll give you.
It could be.
As far as I'm found out, dealing with insurance companies over the years, being a self-employed person, and also having employees. It's only as good as the paper is written on,
That's all.
and you still have to fight with them.
Every time.
So I will try to schedule something with them.
That would be great.
Is there any night of the week that works better?
Yeah,
Maybe like a
Mondays.
Wednesday, or do you want a Monday?
Mondays.
Monday? Okay.
Mondays work beautiful.
Not this next Monday, because that would be a selectman meeting, Monday after, if that's enough time.
Yeah, I will just see what I can do. Thank you.
Well, we did business and insurance.
Your insurance is different. It's your property and liability that. Because I do have those actual numbers.
Is it this one here?
Know of.
It's dated 10/18 on the top in the corner. It's a liability unemployment. Looks like the budget sheets.
The right one.
Water number is 297,185.
185. Yeah, I got it right. It was at the bottom of this packet.
Budget sheet, probably right in this pile then.
It was right in the bottom of this whole packet she gave us. It was the last one.
$13,000 increase from last year.
Yeah, the only thing that really went up is the property
It's
liability.
the only ones I got.
Unemployment went down.
I don't have that.
She had it. Take it.
I do have it.
It was underneath health trust. Right there. Underneath your health trust.
Yeah. Jesus. Pay a lot, get a little.
So the one that's in the book was incorrect. At 303, 301.
I believe that was the estimated that I had to put together.
Okay, so the actual is 297,185.
Yes.
Or do we have a bottom line amount of how much the health trust paid us back, or Primex paid us back last year in claims?
You mean the holiday buyback?
No, no, I'm talking about the insurance.
Yeah, they said,
Property liability is what increased on us this year, right?
Yeah.
And that is the justification insurance to cover town property liability claims such as damage to town property, personal injury claims on town property, litigation by the court system against the town. When a demand for money is made for a violation of constitutional rights. Here's a breakdown for the town, the water department. So last year, we did have some claims go against Primex from individuals and from personal property. This is what we had, because this year you're looking at $14,000 increase in property liability, so a little over 10%. So I didn't know if you could tell us how much the insurance company paid out in liability claims last year.
I can get the number for you.
It would just be nice to see what they charge, because if we did have, which I know we did have some claims go out, that's one of the reasons our prices went up.
I can find it out. Yeah.
We're talking about an $8,000 increase overall for the whole budget. Correct?
Yes.
Just that the property liability had the highest increase where you had some decreases from the other ones. Chairman, I will make a motion to approve the insurance budget. $297,185.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Other business deemed necessary? See none. Watch.
Second.
Emotion, Jeff Paul.
Oh, I thought you made a motion. I thought you just made a motion. Sorry, I was doing something else. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, indeed.
Sorry, I was reading, I was writing something down.